that coastline. So we're heading to Spain, heading to Ibiza. That's where we're headed to. Flick, ever been there?
No, I can't say I have.
Not a bit of a party animal?
Well, maybe once upon a time, but I never got the chance to go to Ibiza. I mean, I've watched it a lot in Siege Coastline. It's a great map. But we've actually
get your VR headset, get VR Siege going.
And, God, could you imagine
as if
how
you've been there.
sick that would make you be this VR Siege? I don't think there's anything that would make me more nauseous than VR Siege and being absolutely capped through 3 walls. But hey, if you're listening, Ubisoft, give it a go. Who knows? Instantly with these bans, we talk rubbish and Hibana Nomad Mirror are already gone. They're already taken out of this. And that is actually, in EU, the first Nomad ban. She hasn't been banned yet in this region. Valkyrie's been banned a couple of times. Mirror has been banned many, many times. And Hibana as well. Banned 6 times out of the 10 maps we've played so far. EU, also the only region. Sorry, I've got loads of fun facts today, guys. I had 2 days off. What else was I supposed to do? Apparently nerd stuff. EU only region not to go to a 3rd map.
Well, just keep them rolling. Keep the fun facts coming. We need to get you like a little segment where it's just, here's the fun facts.
You know, like Emzo's little whiteboard, or the little like weatherman thing. Can we get one of them? How
we get one of them?
Yeah, how like an Emzo. Can we get a whole Emzo, please? Thank you. Hookah and billiards.
Can we buy an Emzo? Can we get the new model?
Does he come with the whiteboard, or do we have to get that separately?
I don't know. Okay. I really don't. Just keeps it in his back pocket. Just shrinks it down as a shrink-way.
Can you tell I've had like two days off and all that energy of like doing all the days in a row has kind of built up. So, Vitality we've talked enough about for now. But Timber, as we said, is a bit of an unknown factor. And there are certain maps that unknown factors against bigger teams often like to go to. Coastline is sometimes one of them because it is cited as being a very good attacker and defender map. There's ways to make it work for both kind of playstyles and both kind of setups. So for some teams that are still trying to find their way into a game, the ability to take rounds either side and kind of keep a little bit of morale can sometimes be a really big factor.
A really strange ban from Timber, and that's Hibana. Hard breach can be done in this map without having to take any. If you look at the Vitality lineup, they don't have a Thermite, they don't have a Maverick. They're not going for that option. Hibana is typically seen for the hookah push specifically because she's very strong at opening up in behind the A bomb site and towards the bar. It means that nobody can sit behind and stop your main push coming from Aquarium, which is kind of the norm strategy for many teams who play Coastline on the attack. And being able to take that out, I feel as if you could have like impacted a better operator away from Vitality. You know, like you could have went for like a much stronger ban. For example, Vitality, they're big fans that like, you know, their Capitão. Why isn't that being taken away?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it kind of brings down to where you want to take them. Spark opening up the day there against her Ness on the far side, and now I guess we'll start to see how this falls together. The pace that they have taken control of security and tried to force them out from underneath kind of shows the caliber of the team, and this is going to be one of the things that Timber is going to have to battle against for a while. It's just the sheer speed that this team can kind of bring. And, you know, we've kind of talked about Vitality before. Everyone is familiar with them. They've been a long-standing thing in Siege, but under a couple of different rosters, one of them being the classical slow build to execute. This team has a lot of fire in it.
Yeah, they've completely remodeled compared to last year of the old Vitality, where it's a lot slower, and I feel that's a big part down to Stiggy being added in. He is the first player to ever be added into this roster by Vitality. They kind of date back to even Xbox back in the day, where they used to be known as Supremacy, then they got picked up by Vitality, and he has been the first player to come in and actually change the communications off this team, because he's Finnish, he doesn't speak French. All the rest of them, they do, but they have changed their comms specifically for the one player, and that shows that they know how good of a player he really is.
Well, the first frag goes the other way, but it's quickly balanced back out, and it seems pretty decisive the control Vitality have over the point. They're just not even really feeling like they have to push in. They're holding all the angles, closing them down. They're kind of making Timber make a couple of mistakes, running a bit wildly, swinging into gunfire. The angles and the air is getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and as Qual finally just jumps in and starts planting the diffuser behind some gridlocks, and it gets pinged out, the window man on Billiards is surely going to end that round. First one to Vitality, and they have come in at full speed, it seems. That was a very, very, as we said, it was coordinated. Every single angle and every single kind of cover was there, and they fed the Timber defenders to each other
Yeah, ideal for Vitality is to get in below and start ripping up the floor like we seen the Buck gets himself in that position. There was a bit of roam game being added in by Timber, but it didn't do anything to stop Vitality. They were very coordinated. They had their entry as Spark being pushed in as fast as he can, being surrounded by the drones. And in front, once you have control of below as the Buck, it's very simple to push everybody in the bomb site out into a position that your man in the window can cover. That double window, it covers a lot of crossfires, straight in behind the back of Bar, in towards that main corridor. Of course, you can see in towards Hookah as well via the rotation that's typically made. Whenever you upset the defenders in the positions they want to play, it makes them feel uncomfortable, and Vitality, they did that to Timber. You looked at the last man who was alive, Jaeger, he was panicking, he was just trying to get wherever he could, peeking left and right, juggle peeking, whatever he could do, but, you know, you're in that position, everything's breathing down on you, and you just collapse under the weight of it.
Well, let's see if Timber can make any changes that come to a more, well, let's say better result this time. They've obviously 6th picked to a Pulse from the Maestro. Slightly different play styles there and potentially going to lead and read into being on the ground floor, but Bibu is out there droning and picking you up, so Pulse is potentially going to have to find a new home. And that's one of the things that we saw Vitality do very well in the beginning of the previous round, was their pre-round drones. We already saw Timber struggling to get hold of them, and Mozzie's going to try and just put a little bit more of that back into their favor, because, as we said, they're a great setup team. They're great at reading where you are, and Stiggy bought the fire to be able to put the pressure on them immediately. Pulse roaming much further off this time. They generally stuck everybody directly underneath the point, but look at the swings coming in from IQ and Bride above already. They're getting control of DJ side. They're putting the same pressure on the opposite side as well, and Qual is happy to rotate underneath to try and lock down this Pulse. That's the thing. That's their early round information. That's those pre-drones, and that is all of it now barreling steadily onto the head of her Ness.
They know what they're looking for, but it is risky trying to play right above the Pulse, because he could easily toss out a C4 and could go fishing, but instead, Pulse is just there for the information. This is good early stuff for Timber that they can gather to know where Vitality are pushing from. He's seen at least 4 bodies towards this side of the map. He knows nobody's towards ruins. This means that it allows all of the defenders to set up appropriately and not have to worry about like double window or anything to be opened up, because that's not what Vitality are looking for. They are solely heading in from east, trying to clear it off. You look at the last time Vitality, they attacked this, they went for the below. They're keeping things fresh. They're always keeping Timber on their toes. But I don't know if that's the correct decision whenever there is a lot of C4s being brought out by Timber. You have the Mozzie, you have the Pulse. That can be devastating in the later game.
Well, they have found their way to get control inside. Aqua, they've set up a huge amount of utility on the back stairs, make sure no one swings around. They've got the cover on the hatches as well, and IQ's just going to keep an eye with Gridlock, keeping an ear as the balance goes towards pushing against the point. In the meantime, you can see Hernes still underneath, still pulsing away, still getting that information, and Carl Roger has actually doubled up with the shotgun to allow some sightlines. They have the nitro cells in pocket, they have the ability to pick off a planter, and there is 2 as Vitality funnel themselves into a firing line. Spark finds a double back, and there's a 3rd as they just trust in the aggression all the way across, leaving it just to the 2 bodies below. 3 on point, trying to get the plant. No nitro, but still has the option to feed and is doubling up. Can't quite catch the man as he hops and skips and jumps away, and now it's a plant going down. The grenade rolls out, doesn't quite catch the Pulse, and they're going to put the diffuser and get themselves into the first post-plant of the day.
Not looking good for Timber and Vitality. They seen the opportune moment to overwhelm the remaining defenders. They knew there were C4s, but whenever you're playing as fast as Vitality are, they don't really care. There's 1 kill for Carl, but I think that's the only thing he's going to get is the repels, and they start coming in from Vitality, just trying to bait it out, and yeah, the man knows exactly where they have to look towards, in towards the luggage, and Vitality, it looks as if they'll lock out another round, and even time now slipping away from him. And let's see who gets the final kill. Perfect crossfire being established, and Carl gets shot in the back.
It was a tough situation from that point onwards. Obviously, it kind of shows the raw gun skill of Vitality to just stress push the point and take it as a flat firefight, reading into the fact that 2 people were below with C4s, with information, and still going, nah, let's just charge the point. Let's just take it as a firefight.
It is rough to see Timber have those first 2 opening picks, goes into a 3v5, and Vitality still end up walking away with the control of the bomb site. Perhaps lack of communication in terms of the Pulse to the Mozzie, getting a C4 in, that was like really late. Whenever you kind of see 4 people group up into Aquarium, that's where you're expecting them just to pile on in. You know nobody's hunting you. You're safe enough to sit down there. It's a tough one for Timber. You kind of question the anchors not being able to hold it down. Yes, they got the first 2 opening kills, but then still being able to let that kind of slip is never great stuff for them. I wonder why that the communication from like Maestro isn't being relayed as early as what you would expect it to be. If you think about where Maestro cameras are being placed, they're in some pretty tough positions for attackers to deal with. If they flood in the bomb site, and Vitality, they haven't really been using that much utility as well to execute. You know, where's been the smokes from Vitality? Only thing they've kind of set up has been like the track stingers on the flank, and that's it. So you do kind of expect information to be relayed, but it's just not coming in for Timber.
Well, they've decided to opt for the blue point this time. Blue bar and Sunrise below with the castle. So it looks like they're trying to add some solidity to the back of their point, not allow Vitality to clear the map as quickly as they are doing. They're still throwing some aggression. Looks like they're going to hold on to cool vibes as well, with the standard kind of angles held up. Curious to see where Mozzie's going to play. Now they don't have the roaming information of Pulse alongside, but again, it's still a great roam operator. You have really good utility, you have mobility, you can bring your pests along for the ride if you want, and you can even almost bait and eat drones as they get thrown at you because you just kind of set them up. Vitality are a team that will try and drone you out. You might score 1 or 2, and then from then on you can kind of move your own information around on your favor. In the meantime, they are already pushing billiards. Bieber and Stiggy, a dream team of Demolition, are breaking their way steadily across from Aqua, with Qual doubling up to cover the side, but the Buck is the first to suffer a fate. Axe getting another opening frag against Stiggy, and let's see if Vitality can find a response.
Vitality not holding back in how quickly they can get into the building. Straight off the rip, they are in Aquarium by around 2 minutes 30. So they, again, the pre-placed drones that we've kind of touched upon that Vitality they have, it's worked a charm, but there's really no oomph from Vitality. They've came to a bit of a standstill by losing Stiggy, losing that Buck. It will make this defense a lot easier to be held, where you don't have to worry about the destruction that Buck can rain down onto your anchors. And there's another pick for them as well, and Vitality, they're up against it. They're in a corner, and can they fight their way out of this?
Well, it looks like for the first time they've hit a slow down as Timber find another body, and there is another one, making it a 5 versus 1 clutch ace only winnable situation in the hands of Breeder, who has a lot to do as an IQ in this situation. Now, this has been a good hold from Timber, and potentially Vitality got a little bit too overconfident pushing it and didn't expect so many crossfires to be on the top floor, and there is yet another one, ending a flawless round for Timber and bringing them their first one on the board today, and it was well put together. They generally had many crossfires. They, I guess, instantly read into where the push was coming from, doubled up all their guns and all the shoulders, and then from then on it was just a matter of letting Vitality close into them.
Vitality just peaked 1 by 1 for no real reason whatsoever. Don't get why they would go for that. Why wouldn't they just try and play it as the way they do? And that is set up with all their utility being ready to rock and roll, fire it all in. It puts the defenders on the back foot. That's whenever you open up for your fraggers to walk on in and get those important kills that they're designed to get. And then from there, it's simple enough for Vitality. We very rarely see them lose a site execution, because that's, you know, their big strong point is being able to push in and, you know, really destroy anything that comes against them. The whole thing about Vitality, though, is if you can shut them down early and you can take off an important operator away from them, they will start to slow down. We've seen that. Timber, they got their first blood onto Buck, a big important operator for Vitality. We always see that being brought by either Stiggy or Qual, typically. Once you eliminate that factor, and then Vitality know that they've lost not only the utility that is needed to attack Blue Bar with the destructibility and the verticality that allows that, but also the fragging potential of C8, which they really rely on.
Well, they're opting not to return to Hookah. They're going to instead swing their way down to the kitchen side. And again, we're looking at some vertical holds. Use of the utility upstairs. Ella's on the board for the first time alongside Echo. And it seems like they're being quite mobile with their information game. They want to keep the entire map hot because I think they've realized that if they can early on find where the speed of Vitality is coming from, they can at least start to try and, well, take some of it apart. And as we've seen in the previous round, it does actually work quite well. Stumble them and things start to, unfortunately, stutter Here comes another quick pace, though, from Vitality. It seems much more spread out as they want to cover down all the angles and set up for a slightly more Vitality-esque execute here on the top floor. Penthouse, obviously, they're going to the very top. They have Stiggy on the buck. They're not all just funneling in from a single direction and trying to pick fights one at a time. This is them, I will say, on more familiar territory for us. They're scoping things out. They're prodding the defense with their drones, finding out where stuff is before they decide to then rush the point.
Vitality look as if they're trying to push in towards Sunrise and Blue. That leads me to believe that they're on for the kitchen take, not prioritizing the upstairs room clear out where there is a couple of roamers lurking for Timber. Mozzie upstairs can actually be a really great tool of denying access to drones via the staircases. He can act as that mini mute jammer, and that's why we talk about Mozzie being the jack of all trades. Doesn't really have a master in one, but he's just so universal. Look, name a map that he isn't good on. Name a bomb site that he isn't good on.
It's tough to impossible. It's the thing about the operator as well, is it's the breakdown of, you know, how teams utilize them and how much teams put faith in them. Because you saw a lot of teams not early adopt to Mozzie. You saw a lot of teams not really quite roll into his weapon set as well. And, you know, it's just then you see a kind of masterclass in it and everyone's kind of steadily tuning on to just how effective an operator can be. Well, this is a minute 10 and the longest we've seen every single operator on the board for. Again, it shows that maybe Vitality were rushing a little bit too confidently, and obviously they paid a bit of a price in the previous round. This is them, again, trying to lock down as much control as they can before they find their way to the point. And with the Roamers of Timber finding themselves in steadily less water to swim in, it's only going to be a matter of time before we at least start to see some trades go a certain way.
First blood, though, will fall for Timber. Vitality have just slowly edged their way in to the bomb. They've just slowly edged their way in as far as they can get right to that kitchen door. The only issue now that I kind of worry for Timber is that they could be overwhelmed just like they did I think it was, the second round? Vitality just rushed on in. This could be a similar thing happen for them. Timber, though, they're still holding firm. As I say that, Spark does get the first blood on the half of Vitality. Stiggy still downed. Don't think anybody's going to be able to pick him up, and there's a rotation from Courtyard. No flanks being covered by Vitality, and Qual now all to do it in the 1v1 pretty much now, can he? When he knows exactly where the Ella is, tucked away in towards the bathroom, pushes on in. He doesn't know where it is. There's a Scorpion pushing in, and well, Timber, they managed to take that.
You're seeing little mistakes from Vitality there. You're seeing moments where, you know, they're still trying to find their semblance on this map. From what was an exceptional first round, where they set up all their angles, set up all their covers, and shepherded Timber to their doom, to a second round where they just body counted their way through onto the point with a bit of brute force and a lot of gun skill. And then the third round, things didn't go at all their way. They were shut down on a flawless. And then there, they tried to kind of revert back to their first round strategies. They bought their droning out, they bought their pace and whatever, but Timber just kind of kept themselves alive long enough to prove fatal in that end 30 seconds.
The whole thing about Vitality is that they all push from the same direction. On Coastline, which can be a very heavy roam-favored map, you have rotations that you can, of course, kind of obtain, and it's a very open, spacious map. You have a lot of long angles that you can use and abuse against the attackers. And if you look towards that west side of the map, it's kind of like the whole map's split in half. You have Blue Bar Sunrise, only two ways you can move over to the other side, and that is either through the kitchen corridor or through the office, which is a risky one as well. Like we've seen, Timber were holding that down. Vitality needed to have somebody putting pressure on the opposite side. If they had somebody open up double door beside Lamborghini, it would have worked a lot better for them. It means Timber would have to kind of push back into a shell. They could not have that same aggressive nature that they had. Overall for Vitality, just pretty sloppy in terms of their positioning.
But you got to give credit to Timber as well for being able to play their way out of the situation. Again, as I said before, keeping themselves alive towards that final 40 seconds proved absolutely deadly, because it wasn't even the matter that they were winning the gunfights with ease. It might have been a trade where they just got the Vitality player down, but at that point, Vitality can't rotate to get them back up. We saw Stiggy down. We saw, I believe it was Spark, also down, or Reday maybe. And, you know, those kind of moments where, well, we still have to push the point now. There might still be someone around on the side. We know generally where they are, and it was a 1v1, but Wow, that was a way to open around. Spark drops Carl Roger. It was a 1v1, but you know there was so much else that had gone wrong that round. It's a 1v1 where you're under more pressure, and we could see it kind of suffer to the end. Great take there from Hernes to read into Stiggy, but great pickup from Vitality to find the cover, and Spark finds his double, as he is determined to keep Vitality in the lead on this. Slowly again, closing down all the roamers. This is much more akin to the first round, and maybe Hookah is just their favorite point to attack.
Once again, a very spread out roam game from Timber, only leaving 2 men on site. They had their Maestro and Sunrise, and yes, that can be a great tool to have as a defense. We know how strong that gun can be. The LMG is one of the better weapons in the kind of top echelon of defenders. But if you do lose them, then you lose the accessibility of being able to turn the cameras and use the laser beams that come with it. Vitality, they just look as if they're on top of it this time with the roam game. They've figured out where Timber like to hold, and if anything to go off of the second round on the Hookah defense for Timber, it was a very spread out roam game. Vitality know this, and they're going to try and have a go and have a fight against them, and they have successfully done that. They've cleared them out, and just this should be simple for Vitality. They have plenty of utility. They still have smoke grenades from Qual, more importantly. I'm sure Sophia has a couple of stuns ready to go. And just the pressures on Timber to really hold this together, but it's not going to be an easy task.
Well, here comes a little bit more of the pressure, and with 45 seconds on the board, they've got to make it count. It's a 4 versus 2, sure, but we've seen Vitality struggle in the dying throws of the previous round, and this is a point where they don't want to drop it because it's otherwise been a very successful run so far. So Pega is still trying to hold down on the hallway corridor. They've very much been funneled into a single corner, and they're just going to try and lock it down. If anything, the smoke should be with the Kaidas just to stop the push against that side, and I'm sure that's where he begs to be, but Bibu is not going to have any of that as he creeps up the corridor and tries to find his way in the middle. The shotgun here could be absolutely monumental and swing in the way of this round. Swaps away from it at the worst possible time, however, and there is an easy pickup of a double for Bibu. Doesn't even
That
get
was
the double.
simple. Simple. That's what we call that, Fluke. Very easy for Vitality to find out the 2 remaining defenders, and just as they do, they will push out. See the difference this time for Vitality? They approached it from different angles. You had multiple people pushing in from multiple angles. One coming in through blue, one coming in through that main corridor, which was Bibu, one still pressuring Aquarium, and one outside still trying to have like a bit of a kind of crossfire if anybody does want to rotate. Just easy execution for Vitality, and we very rarely see them lose those, and it's just the early game that Vitality always need to focus on and concentrate, because if they do get that upper edge and they clear out the roam game, just like the last round, then they never have any problems against teams. They're one of the most finesse teams that we have, I think, across the world. You know, they're a team which has their own playstyle named after them, for goodness sake. Look, that has to count for something.
That's the thing, and I guess we'll see if they can make it count now, because obviously we said, and we commented on it, for those who aren't familiar with the early days of Vitality, they defined a style of this game which was just, they could control a map without you ever seeing them, and then suddenly in the final 15 seconds, completely swarm the point, drop everybody, get the diffuser down, and it was just, blink and you miss it kind of strategy. That's changed the face over the past 6 months and over the past thing, and you know, they've brought in this, as we said, sticky side. They've got a little bit more aggressive with it. They've been a little bit more violent in terms of getting their map control, and it's worked very well for them. They had a really good season, and it was just unfortunately so did a lot of other teams. It's a U Pro League. There's a lot of big names there, but it's one of those things where you know you kind of see a team develop, and I guess we'll see if they can find a way to swing it. This is another wide hold from Timber across this blue point, and obviously the 6th pick here that's come through is Stiggy is now picking up to KB to double up the frag grenades, and then Spark is the one rolling on the mantle of Buck. Stiggy has struggled to find ground on Buck so far, and Ebret struggles to find a body there, and a bit of a gun swing against Bibu, who is yet again pacing himself into the service entrance on the Ash, but Stiggy in the meantime keeps his roll going, and well, finally I guess actually finds his roll going as he drops 1 for the first time in a couple of rounds, and let's see if they can capitalize on this.
Again, that first pick for Vitality, it's done them well. Ebrat now, he has to be aware that there is a lot of things coming for him. A lot of utility. Plenty of flashbangs. Axe, though, does respond with a kill onto Stiggy. And that's Dokkaebi off the table. A nade barely scrapes the Maestro, still alive. But unfortunate for Pega, he has been downed in the crossfire. And well, I said that about the Maestro. There he goes, off the table. Axe now in a great position. Vitality don't know the specific location where he is, and he can play these angles that have been made by his team earlier on in the round.
Well, 1:30, and 2 of the Vitality players flash his healthing, but in the meantime, the smoke is just on a dream. And, well, there goes the Jaeger as well. The ground is slowly collapsing now, so it's just Hernes being the only one with any real health, but he does find Bibu to swing it back in and almost finds the double, but is going to be able to pick up the smoke just in time. They have a little bit of hope at this point, but it is slim as they've already generally lost all of the control on the opposite side. Swings down and almost finds a firefight immediately, but unfortunately gets picked off, as does the pair. Qual and Bride drop the remaining, and Vitality find themselves in the 4-2 split, heading to defense on Coastline.
Solid half from Vitality, and just it shows whenever they have the ball in their court right off the rip, they are so dominant in their rounds. They really put the pressure on Timber. They are panicking at times. That could be just down to inexperience and all about keeping your nerve. You know, a new team on the block that we don't know a whole lot about. That will start to happen, but as of course we've seen, as you develop as a team, those kind of fears will go away and you have that more calm, collective approach that every, I think, professional player needs to have that level of mentality.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's kind of broken down, is the idea of a mentality in this game and how much momentum affects you and how much losses and how much going up against a bigger opponent and all that kind of stuff. And they say the more stages you play on, the more games you play, the more you kind of get cemented to that. But esports is such a fast-moving scene that sometimes it becomes a bit hard. And it's generally not... It's a bit of an immature scene at points as well. It's still very young, it's early doors, we're learning what real support staff is, and there are some teams that have as many support staff as they have players sometimes, and some will have a manager slash coach slash mental health slash, you know, team captain slash photographer slash kind of everything and anything.
Yeah, water boy.
Water boy.
Don't forget about that. I'm a water boy. I'm Navi water boy.
You're the Navi water boy.
It used to be secret, but that ship's sinking at the moment, so I have to jump ship.
With all your water, just head overboard.
Yep. I just hopped on. I seen a bigger and better cruise line sailing past. They were going to Japan, and I thought, why not? Let's just hop on board.
Have a swing to Japan. So far in this game, as I said before, Siggy's generally struggled to find feet, and after kind of we build him up to be this franger, everyone has off games, but you normally expect him to be a little bit further up the board. In the meantime, talking of Spark, has had a pretty fantastic game so far. Swinging in on the Jaeger now, is potentially just going to try and add more bodies to the kill count, and we're seeing Jackal on the board for the first time from a Timber attack to try and control Vitality at this point around this coastline. And that could be fair because, as we said before, if they get that opening pick from that point onwards, it becomes a Vitality round. They become more and more confident. You can see Jackal is wasting no time trying to shut down on the man at the top of the stairs, but it's just going to let the drone put a bit of a pressure away from him first, as the buck is also on the shoulder to crack open any angles. In the meantime, they're doing a pretty big split push across the entire floor. Hernes might not have known how close he was to a body. It's a cool vibes there, but I guess we'll find out who wins that firefight in just a second as they steadily try and drone out this top floor.
Timber will enter towards Penthouse, which is a bit of a strange way to approach the blue bar hold, but since they've realized that Vitality have gave them the full access and can simply push on in, only the one roamer that they have to worry about, and he is right into the back of Hookah, but will be supported by blue bar. So very situated areas for Vitality, and it doesn't give them a whole lot of aggressive nature to them. They're kind of trapped in corners, and there's a perfect example of why we don't see that position really excel, just because there isn't a whole lot of offers. And First Blood does go in the way of Timber. Vitality going for the C4. Brid does waste that one.
Bit of a waste there, because you can see the Echo drone above, so you assume they would have fed a bit of information there, especially with a player off the board, but you never really know.
The way they're playing Echo, kind of off-site, is a new one. If he does get, if he was to get pushed out of the attack from Kitchen, he could have been really susceptible to a quick rush, and there's the Jackal that Vitality didn't bring to their lineup, which is another great operator. It provides the smoke, soft destruction, and Roamhan all at the same time. Another kind of Mozzie operator, does a lot of jobs, and that will be the first ping. So they know where they have to look for in towards the Kitchen, which is where Vitality are situated.
Well, this has been very, very good from Timber so far. They've got 45 seconds, though, and they've still got to push the point against the Echo that's playing a bit off point, and then obviously Spark and Bride. But at the same time, their close down has been very coordinated so far. The aggression coming out from Vitality to try and balance it off, unfortunately, is matched by some pretty good shooting, and now they are going for the plant inside the point. Dug in the corner, and the great cover over the shoulder from Timber puts it back to a 4-3 position.
Vitality losing their first defense, and Timber, they looked strong in that one. They had a lot going for them, the top floor clear, pretty much being gifted to them, saying, by Vitality, here, have this, we don't really need that. But in reality, you kinda do, because it forces everybody off site. That cool vibe stairs is one of the strongest positions for holding off the crosses between Kitchen and the actual bomb site. They know Vitality play towards Kitchen. That's the perfect position that Jackal can play in. And then it's very simple just to kind of sanction off your angles, get the smokes in, and go for a simple plant and sunrise. The fact that it's very close to the outside, and we've seen bomb sites before kind of struggle with very simple plants for teams. I look at Consulate, front door. It was like really bad for teams just pushing in and planting right at the doorway. You think back to Old Cafe on the Kitchen. I know a lot of nightmares going back there, and you just kind of walked in and go for the plant. And this bomb site is kind of like that in many ways.
Yeah, you normally need someone being very active with a good gun, and usually you'll see something like a Maestro and they've got the camera up on the kind of pillar of the bar, and Echo as well, but usually bringing themselves a little bit more central to the point. And I'm wondering, obviously, if Vitality's previous round was just a little bit too spacious. They were a little bit too spread out. They were kind of trusting in being able to hold the 1v1s around the map, or 1v2s, and use their kind of, you know, expected higher skill level to be able to win out these fights. But Timber are bringing the one thing that often struggles against in Siege, which is communication, which is the ability to close down. And we saw, yes, we went, well, why are they opening in from Master? And it's because that was ground that they could take. And then from that point onwards, we had one body pushing in from Hookabouc. We had one body, which was the Buck, pushing across from Aqua, and we had two bodies pushing from the Master side, and all of that funneling against one person. Doesn't matter who you are. If they're coming from in front of you, behind you, and to your side, you're just going to get picked off.
Timber, they will take on the defense of a hookah for Vitality. Line up, bring in the Thatcher, but not like bringing the Thermite to kind of accompany that. But I'm sure that is just to get rid of utility. Thatcher can still be great for eliminating ADSs. You can actually throw your ADSs on the rooftop, and it will destroy ADSs, for example, behind the aquarium bar, which is like a big one that like a lot of defenders want to try and hold away. But since there is nobody from Vitality haven't really went for any crazy offsite holds and hasn't really stopped Timber from taking what they want. They've been a lot more reserved, a lot more relaxed in how they're playing, and I don't know if it's the correct decision, because against like a newer team, don't you want to try and get in their face and try and make them feel uncomfortable, just like Vitality were doing with their attacks?
Yeah, it seems a little bit passive this time around, and obviously they've already lost the Mozzie. Stiggy's holding down the long angle with the Maestro, as we said, would have probably helped on the previous map instead of trying to funnel their way back in towards the end. Bride is holding the close corners on the bar, ready to swing around if need be, but we're seeing a similar setup to how Vitality pushed this previously. They have the Buck underneath causing some problems. They're holding the big angles, pre-firing an entirely soft wall at this point, but the bullets are going to fly back over, and Sophia is unbelievably hits the bullet hole and drops Stiggy without him even beginning to become aware of that. Now Axe is free to crack open as much as Bibu decides, well, no, you're not so free. Hernes, however, on the triple kill, finds another, and this is down to Bibu to try and cause some drama from beneath, because steadily they're getting more control. Zofia drops in the background and Bibu finds them, but they're putting the plant on the billiards table. Bibu has to rotate up background. There's not much more you can do from beneath, and Timber post-plant 4-4.
I was not expecting Vitality to struggle this much. Honestly, I thought the first map was going to be done by this time. But Timber are still fighting on past that. It's not good if you're Vitality. You have to think about, you're the professional team going up against the unknown team. You should always win this game. You should always, always have a great scoreline against these certain teams. If you're a team who could potentially face Vitality, you're sitting here thinking, okay, guys, we got a free win. Because Vitality are not looking that strong. Still, we have to see how fours do, because they will be playing after this, and that will decide then the quarterfinal for play day number 4. But if fours are watching this and they think, well, we could have Vitality next round, which is what we're kind of expecting, Vitality don't look too strong. Or perhaps it's just Timber being an unknown quantity that we didn't really add into the formula.
That's the thing. I mean, so far what's kind of come through for them, as I said, is their coordination. It's been very, very good. They've been able to find the frags in and amongst their tactics. And obviously, we've already said the first frag seems to be, I would say, more important in this match than I think we've seen in any other match. I believe there's only one round so far where the first frag's gone the other team's way for the team that lost the first body to then pick up, which was the very second round with the immediate rush. Other than that, it's generally been very coordinated. And I guess it's kind of not really working in Vitality's favor at the minute. They seem to be making, you know, it's tough mistakes, but it's little mistakes that are building up, like the Maestro death we just saw. His gun blocked the view of the little kind of the bullet hole that had been knocked in. The smoke came down afterwards, so there might have been a bit of a miscommunication about whether the Zofia had rotated and stayed there, but at that point, as a player, you would kind of expect them to. You saw the body move across, you pre-fired it with an LMG that could have kept pre-firing for a good full 2 minutes, and then you just kind of stopped off, and it allowed them to be able to crack it open. And even if you pulled back a step and bought yourself another couple of seconds, there was still bodies alive. There was bodies underneath and Bibu trying to do stuff. Holding them at that angle and holding them there from still being alive could have been a make or break at that point for Maestro. Here comes the next round. Here comes a quick push, and Hernes is looking to add to his already impressive tally of bodies.
Axe has been pretty proactive this game so far as well, being able to push in, get those entry frags, and even on defense, as he was the Jaeger, also putting in a shift. So he's below, has to go up against 2 roamers at least towards Sunrise, and also a man lurking towards the blue. So Timber will try and eliminate said roamers. They're trying to pinch them in as much as they can. They have pressure also coming in from the Sunrise side of things. But there is a lot of cover, though, that Vitality are providing their roamers. That guy in blue will stop anybody wanting to try and push in via kitchen or that corridor towards courtyard. So there is crossfires set up. And look, even Legion, he's came down to help them as well.
Well, quick movements there. Hernes suffers half health, but there he does, finds Kwalu, repeat. Spark and Bibu quickly swing it back the other way, taking the bodies out that were trying to collapse from the office side. And now that has just left Hernes down below by himself. So Pega, in the meantime, is trying to Thatcher his way across the point and cause some more dramas upstairs, maybe to draw the roamers away, but Hernes is in a bit of a tight situation, and at this point should probably rotate back out and find an alternate route. So Pega is actually, with the diffuser, going to swing round alongside Carl Rogers, and they're going to try and save Private Zofia. See if they can double down on the 2 players that already doubled down on them and just kind of drop them. In the meantime, we've seen these bullet holes work well for Timber in a previous life, and there it does yet again. Spark accidentally swings too far back, and the Jackal gets dropped with Hernes getting a triple kill. Bibu suffers a Zofia, and that was great combination from the 2 remaining Timber players to just force them against Zofia.
Oh baby, a triple. Zofia on fire right now, and that is honestly the turning point in this round. That's the pinnacle moment. And Vitality, if they lose this, that is down to that one play that Zofia single-handedly made. Ernest now still looking for more, rotates in towards the back of Hookah, but there's Sir Pega, and he also tries to stick the diffuser, cover being in, but Brid almost gets the 2, but the SMG-11 doesn't have that many bullets available. Oh, he gets caught in as the rotate, and Timber, Ernest especially, my god, they lead this match.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic response to losing those first 2 bodies. The ability to bring your 2 top floor players back, your 2 point pushing players, and go, well, they've just doubled down from these sides. If we then double on the double down and come in from behind them, you'll force them against me. I know they're pushing me because they know I exist here because I've already dropped a body. So I just have to try and survive. I'll hold here. You guys come in from behind, and then we've kind of thrown them off. And you've got to give credit. That was a really, really smart play there. Hernes especially, with the kind of, 3 kills in the previous round, 12 for 5, top frags in the game so far, is really just lighting up for the team so far.
Kitchen now for Vitality, their first one, and how will they hold it? Look, I feel as if they need to have more aggression. They need to be up in the faces of Timber and just say to them, we are not losing this. You have to get through these roamers first of all. They're really passive, really relaxed, and I don't want to see that. You look at every big team that has played against a weaker team throughout any region, there has always been like a different playstyle that the big teams have taken, and that is up-in-your-face aggressiveness, fragging out of your skull.
Yeah, and I think the breakdown of it as well is they keep seeing a little bit agitated on where they're holding. Obviously, we saw the Mozzie back into the bullet hole that had been opened just from swinging at the open door. You generally knew Zafir was around that side, yes. You might not have known she was still there. There'd been a good 15-20 seconds between. You might not have known that she was watching your angle, but you're aware that there's a presence that way, and you've kind of, if you're in offices, you've still got the central kind of block of office to play around if you're worried about someone coming from either side. You have room for rotation and room for movement, and it just seems like these little, as I said, these little mistakes, these little kind of exasperated moves are just really being punished by Timber. Setting themselves up now for a kitchen hold, and again they've gone very wide with it. Spark is playing upstairs with the big Alder LMG that has so far not been able to find quite as many gratifying moments as you would usually expect. Timber generally rolling with the same lineup here, and why change what's broken? They've obviously now got 3 rounds on the trot. All of their attacks have been successful, and Vitality have seemed, for lack of a better word, completely beat to the bush.
Timber, again, a very solid lineup from him. I like the addition of the Thatcher, even though you may think, oh, well, that doesn't do much if there's no Thermite to accompany him. Still being able to eliminate ADSs and goo mines, and more importantly, Maestros, it makes a lot of sense. Thatcher still has like a good loadout. You know, I wouldn't pass up an LA, would you, Fluke?
No, I would not. And
he's using the AR, though, which is, they are 33.
That's less question. But the thing about the Thatchers as well is, obviously, the old traditional is double them up with the hard destruction, get through a hard destruction wall. But the way that the game has developed, especially in the current meta, Hurnes, opening Frank the past 3 rounds, might as well add there as well. The way that kind of games develop is you have so much more that a Thatcher can be. Every time a new trap operator that can get Thatcher gets into the game, Thatcher gets a buff in terms of utility, because we are in a very kind of trap and information-based meta, and he can shut down both of those things.
Timber creeping in towards that main desk next, and they look as if they're going to set up for the more common soft destruction from above, but Vitality, they respond with 2 quick kills, but then there's Hurnes still being a threat whenever he is on the board, and Carl, he even harks on in and will eliminate that Maestro above, and once more for Vitality, they have managed to gain control only for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, and yet again they swing back the other way, lost the body on top, it's now just down to Bibu and Bride on the point. The diffuser is cold outside, so they've just picked that up and opted to get their post-plant situation, or their attempted execute plant situation, on the go, but with 30 seconds on, they have plenty of time to make it work. Creeping in the back is Hurnes as well. Has a straight line through to the point I was going to say, and there's the Bibu that we expect to see, getting the double, and Bride locking it off, and Vitality finding their way back, level pegging 5-5.
First defense for Vitality, and they needed that one, but it was in the kitchen, one which we haven't seen from them. Now they have to go to either Blue Bar or Hookah. You may be thinking, oh, but there's Penthouse and Fear. That's not going to happen. There's no Mira available in this match. That bomb site doesn't exist, therefore. What in the world?
I think you're wrong. Penthouse Theatre does exist.
You see, I'm going to absolutely shred this defense and say why you shouldn't go here.
Okay. What if they flawless defense it? What if it's like revolutionary? Okay, the reason, and I'm going to try and say that, the reason that this point is lesser seen when Mira's off the board is because it is next to impossible to physically hold inside Penthouse. Every single angle, every single wall, you have the kind of big triple wall on the back that's completely flat against a big double window, which is also doubled up by having very long rooftops you can get far and far away, which helps with your ACOGs, helps with your angles. In the meantime, that double window kind of hits every single nook and cranny and little hidey hole. There's no real solid materials. The little half walls that you see in the middle of the point, yeah, those can stop a bullet, but what's the point if your legs stick out from either side? You're not close enough to Bandit Trick or really hold on to the other triple wall, and normally the first point of entrance is VIP. At the same time, you've got a hatch above the shower that anyone can drop grenades down. You've got a big double wall that they've actually opted to reinforce. You normally see that blown open if it's an attempted hold here. And there's just no way to keep a control on this with sightlines.
Well, I mean, if you reinforce that bathroom, it does make a death chamber essentially for C4s and smoke canisters, doesn't it? If you drop in towards that bathroom, you're trapped. There's nowhere to go from there. They do bring the clash. That is kind of like the saving grace I feel for Penthouse and Theater, because you need the mirror windows to defend this first of all. That's kind of like the norm. If mirror isn't there, Clash can be seen as an alternative to that specific operator. It is a walking mirror window. Yeah. The only reason why you have the mirror windows is for the straight vision that you can gain. Clash can do that for you.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's the thing, because I think there was a chart that was once shown on this point where it shows all the possibilities of getting sight lines as like a kind of heat map from the different windows you can get from them, and it was one of the only points in the game where every single corner was lit up by that, and that's what makes it so difficult. Bringing the Clash, I guess reinforcing that and holding a bit harder inside Hall of Fame and allowing yourself just a little bit more solidity. Well, let's see if it can work in the hands of Vitality. Here comes the push now, breaking its way steadily across from the hookah side. Yet again, Timber are opting for a strategy of getting feet in the building and then being able to just clear steadily across from there. Bibu is aggressively holding on to VIP, spots the Thatcher and spots the push. And to be fair, being able to find this early, it might actually play into the favor of Timber if they see how aggressive they're being inside VIP and decide to opt to swing to DJ battle.
They will look towards below. Opening up kitchen is a strange one to try and give themselves some clarity of knowing that that VIP is clear, but they're not bucking the correct positions, and nor do they have any drone supports for them. That's one thing about Timber. Their drones have been very lacking, perhaps why they bring the Jackal to kind of alleviate some of that pressure. There will be a rotation hole that Legion can try and use and abuse, and well, he will do that with a quick peek around, and Qual also jumps on. And a kill for him. Axe, he falls, and all three members of Timber are stacked up in towards that main hallway.
Well, the mistake of this, after kind of going on about the sight lines that you can get from the opposite sides and the other sides, is they've all just pushed in from the same way. They've done their standard clear so far, Timber, of get in the building and push across, and, well, it hasn't really worked on this point. They've actually played into some of the benefits that this point offers, which is that it's quite wide on the doorways. If you're holding those and you trust that no one's coming in behind you, you actually feel kind of confident. Because if you look at the balcony, you've got this big window and you've got a door slightly further along, but they hadn't applied any pressure onto here. So they were free to just play the Clash in here. They were free to put a gun behind it, and now it is a 5 versus 1.
They kind of did what Vitality did on their attacks, and that was not push from different locations, which did punish Vitality, and it's punished Timber as well. Whenever you know it's going to be a Penthouse and Theater, it's really simple to take. All you do is you open up the bathroom hatch, you get somebody in double window, you drop the hatch, you take control of VIP through the DJ deck, which nobody was there, that was the main cause. You don't attack from the hookah side, because literally you don't need that. And all you do is you smoke off the cross towards Theater, and you simply plant in a blind spot.
Yeah, if you look at the amount of time that it took them to get the bodies inside Aqua, through Billiards, and then they found a Clash in there, if they had one person on DJ Balk, that would have been an easy pickup to drop the Clash. Yeah, they might have been traded out by the other body that was playing inside there, but all you have to do is pre-fire through the window, and that would have been Clash, dead. And you do think, you know, maybe if they're just diversified just a little bit in towards what is the standard way of attacking that point, it might have been a successful story for Timber. Unfortunately, they find themselves now looking on the wrong side of a match point, but it's hard to write them out so far when they've already won this point twice on attack.
Hookah's been a real issue for Vitality, and I think it is down to the kind of pacifist role that they've went for, which is a bit strange in a game where you need to kill people, going for a very slow and don't really want to take the fight to them, which is questionable.
Yeah, let's be friends. There's who needs violence?
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere and any kind of fun. Down here in the Rainbow Six. No?
Siege.
Something like that. It doesn't fit.
We'll work on it for the LAN. Vitality, in the meantime, setting themselves up. They've bought the Pulse now, and they're going to opt for some underneath information. I think this is wise because, as we said, Timber have generally had a habit of they'll enter from the opposite side of the point, which is usually free real estate because they want to be inside. They're not really doing too much on the windows, not doing too much aggressively outside the building. They feel themselves more comfortable inside so far, and to be fair, it's worked pretty well for them previously, and I guess they're going to try and use the Pulse and the Mozzie to counteract that, get that instant information and stop them being able to even get their feet in, which it seems like, well, there's a bit of a slower pace this time round to Timber, which has otherwise been, I would say they've at least found people inside the building every round up to this point.
They will use a bit more drone work, which was slacking in their last attack for that penthouse and theater, which was honestly their kind of downfall, not being able to pinpoint exactly where players were positioned inside of VIP and even towards Hall of Fame. That was the big downside that they did not have control of. Vitality, they will be bringing C4s. There's at least 3 of them there on the table. Pulse and Mozzie are common occurrence below, but also Mute can even rotate downstairs or just save it as one on site that you can just toss out and try and stop the plant, such as that shape and form. So they have managed to clear out below, and Bibu, he's off the table, but Axe does take a lot of damage for it though. But the fact that both players have rotated away, as I say that, Spark has just been felled, but then Qual is still a menace. Yeah, I don't know. The fact that they did pull out of that very quickly, again, kind of comes down to the pressure that Timber are applying, and Vitality still playing in that kind of scared playstyle where they don't want to take the fights.
Well, they have bodies inside Aqua. They have Carl Rogers watching the rotate there. And now they're just going to try and move on these pings and get as much inside the body. There is the Sophia to cover the smoke plants, and they're trying to do what they did previously so well. The use of utility in the plants is very effective, but you've still got potential C4s on the board. They're just going to swing and go for the shotguns, and he gets dropped, I believe, from his teammate Crossfire. Yeah, Carl Rogers takes out Hernes. Bride gets a Pega, but we're in a post-plant now. There is Ebra still alive, and Rogers is on a sliver of health. Bride is just going to push it, bait the plant, but we've still got the swing round here, and Ebrat finds Bride. There's Stiggy getting Ebrat below. They just need to find the body in Aqua. Carl Rogers has everything to do and no health to do it as a chance of keeping the team in, especially after the accidental team kill. It is all down to a Jackal. They have the cover on the angle. Qual is just going to hard hold the plant at this point, and there's the swing from Mozzie, and there is Coastline in the favor of Vitality.
Finally, they broke the hookah after all that. Honestly, Timber just gave them that with a TK. All of that revolved around Jackal, TK, and Sophia. That was the end-all and be-all. As soon as that happened, they couldn't give the cover. They couldn't provide more stability. They could have easily rotated away, held the bomb, upside and repel. You never win that if you're Vitality. But hey, they take that. They take those things being gifted to them. But we still have to see how they move on to map number 2, which is coming up after the break.